Hello, welcome to another episode of Medicare GPS, navigating you step by step through your Medicare journey. My name is Jamin White. My business partner and wife, Paula White, is here. We are founders of Four Oaks Medicare Planning. So, Paula, what exciting topic do we have today?
Hey, yeah, thanks everybody coming back for the new year here in 2025. Excited to be back. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the Medicare changes to the drug plans in 2025. So, lots of big changes. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can get information as soon as it comes out. But yeah, we're going to be talking about why are people potentially having heart attacks when they go pick up their prescriptions at CVS or Walgreens this January.
So, the biggest thing that happened for 2025 relates to a phase in of part of the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed a few years ago. There's been things that have phased in over the last couple of years, but this was the big one. And it was the first time Part D drug plans had an out of pocket max for you of $2,000. Now, some of you guys are like, well, I don't pay anything really for my medications. Well, you aren't going to be impacted by this necessarily on the out of pocket max, where some people have really expensive medications. And so they're really thrilled, Paula, to have an out of pocket max of $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah. The big problem was though that the government didn't fund it. It's like it's really, really awesome, but they kind of forced all of the costs onto the insurance company. And then I guess they all handled that in different ways, right?
Right. So that's going to be the negative part. So while they don't have to pay all of the costs, they have a much greater burden now because they're now having to foot a lot more of the bill in these later phases where you hit the out of pocket max. Remember, you don't pay anything. And now suddenly the insurance company's having to pay a lot more because somebody's got to pay for those more expensive medications. So the good news is the $2,000 out of pocket max is going to help a lot of people. The bad news is the insurance companies are trying to find ways to pay for it. And so
Yeah.
that's the number one thing that you're going to see this year in the beginning, because many of the drug plans, especially with the Medicare Advantage plans, did not have a deductible that you had to do under phase one of the few phases that we see this year. So let's just dive into that a little bit. There's
Okay.
three phases now for prescription drug plans. So it may be good, Paula, that we open up the survival guide and let's just talk about what the phases look like this year in 2025 and how you might be impacted by some of these changes.
Yeah. So here is our survival guide. We just released it for 2025. So it's got a lot of great stuff on it. A lot of the basic stuff, A and B, what are the new deductibles, all those kind of things, more details about Part C, Medicare Advantage plans. But down here is where we're going to kind of go over the prescription drugs and these new phases. So this was the biggest thing that changed this year. And so kind of walk us through what these phases are and how that is going to affect people at the pharmacy.
Sure. So in 2024, there was four phases, and now there's only three. And the phase that went away was the third phase. It was called the coverage gap, or you might have known it as the donut hole, where you had to pay up to 25% coinsurance until you hit a certain level. Well, that phase has gone away, and now there's just three. We have the annual deductible phase, we have the initial coverage phase, and then we have the catastrophic. Once you hit the last phase, the catastrophic, that's where the $2,000 out of pocket max comes in. Then your coverage for your prescriptions for the rest of the year is 100%. So that's the good news. But what I mentioned about the drug companies or the insurance companies needing to try to find a way to find money to pay for this catastrophic phase and the extra liability, you might find that you now, where you didn't have a deductible, you might have a deductible for some of your medications.
Well, that's not a little deductible. That's $590.
Well,
That's
it's up
all
up to
for
up to $590. So
right.
your deductible might not be 590, but there could be a deductible of 3, 4. I mean, it just depends upon what your plan has that you might not have had previously that you have now. That's particularly going to be in the plans that are embedded within a Medicare Advantage plan. We're seeing a lot more deductibles for higher tiered medications than we did previously. So, like I mentioned, the three phases. So, once you go through the deductible phase, then depending upon your plan, you can might have a copay, you might have a co-insurance amount even that takes you to or through to the catastrophic phase where then all of your medicines are covered at 100% after that. And so I think, Paul, there was another thing you wanted to mention about how the $2,000 out of pocket max might not relate to some medications.
Right. I think a lot of people heard it on the news. Hey, the out of pocket max 2000. I don't need to worry about it. I'll just stay on my plan because I'm good to go. What they don't know or what they don't realize is that $2,000 out of pocket max is only for those prescriptions that are on the formulary. So a lot of the insurance companies are getting around that with the more expensive medications and just saying, we're not covering that one. And then here's the folks, they show up at the pharmacy and they're like, "Wait, what? I have to pay now full retail price?" So a lot of surprises in that arena if you didn't get a good review from your insurance agent.
In that mode, just remember that you can try to find a different medication with your doctor, or if it's the only one that works, you can always hit your doctor to try to get what's called a formulary exception. So it doesn't mean that you're out of luck completely and have to pay full price. Just make sure that you know that a formulary exception is something that a doctor can basically appeal to try to get that added back to the formulary so that it will apply toward the out of pocket maximum.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Well, also too, say they aren't able to do that, right? They tried to talk to their doctor or the insurance company denied it. Aren't there some other options they have here in this kind of first quarter to during the open enrollment period?
Yeah. So, one thing, if you did not, again, make any changes during the annual election period and you have a Medicare Advantage plan, there is something called the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period that started January 1 and runs through the end of March. That's where you can make a one time change to your Advantage plan if you find the one that you're on now suddenly is not going to work. So, if you didn't have a review and you didn't make that change when it comes to Advantage plans, you definitely are able to do that. Now, standalone drug plans, like if you have a Medigap plan, is not part of that. So sometimes there are some special exceptions. You might want to just reach out to 1-800 Medicare. You might want to call them to see if there might be something you could do to change it. But the open enrollment period window is really just for the Medicare Advantage to in as it relates to dealing with the prescription drugs.
Right, right. And then the other thing that has been talked about, I guess several months ago, and needs to be a reminder is the prescription payment plan that the government is now requiring these insurance companies. Can you talk a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, so that's just a new rule that's come out so that if you find that you cannot afford to pay everything all at once, maybe you have a huge deductible or however it's coming out on the first month, you can call the insurance company that has your drug plan as part of it and enroll in this payment program. You probably have already should have received information on it kind of at the beginning of this year or maybe in December of last year. That way, you don't have to pay the medication costs right up front. They will give you the medication, and then the insurance company's responsibility is to bill you over the year for that cost. So instead of having to pay a lump sum benefit, it will spread it out over the year, and you can make monthly payments to pay that off at a more cost effective way for you.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up. Is there anything else about the drug plans or that you feel like we need to educate these folks on?
Just be aware that your independent agent should work through this with you during that annual election period, just to make sure that you enter into the next year smoothly.
Right. I think a lot of people just assumed this year, oh, it'll be the same as last year and didn't really take stock in the fact that, there are a lot of changes. And so there were co-insurance changes, co-pay, versus, and then now, some just dropping off the formulary altogether. So that's why it's so important to get that annual review with your advisor. So yeah. So before we move on, I wanted to definitely mention that we do have a blog on our website where Jamin does explain, the Inflation Reduction Act. So more information about that and the changes that have been happening, they're available on our website, go4oaks.com. All right. So I'm excited about today's story. It's one of my stories over AEP. I had this sweet, sweet lady call, a very low income, and had just had a heart attack. And, she was on probably one of the standard Medicare Advantage plans. And because she had had a heart attack, we were able to get her on a chronic special needs plan. And so, Jamin, go a little bit more into why what are the certain cases where folks can get on those special needs plans, and why are the benefits so much better?
Yeah. So, I mean, special needs plans are for people that have certain chronic conditions that just allow them access to some other options under Medicare Advantage than the general population. And those types of conditions, usually diabetes is one or cardiovascular issues, really just depends upon where you live, on what types of plans are available to you, and what chronic conditions will allow you to qualify. And so, when it comes to these plans, some of the reasons why you might want to get on one is you might find that the benefits are more geared towards the type of chronic condition that you're going through. And, there can be some added benefits that you might know. Some in some areas, that might not have a food benefit that you kind of see advertised on the television. Sometimes the chronic special needs plans, we're seeing some of those be on there. Now, again, it just depends upon what's available in your area, but these plans are really designed for those that are struggling with a chronic condition and might need some more tailored assistance in that area.
Yeah, no, and I call her M, sweet M. She just was just a sweet, sweet lady. It just had gone through a heart attack. So she had, cardiovascular PT she had to go to. And the thing that she really wanted and really appreciated in this new plan was the food benefit. Because as the heart attack, it's always like you got to eat better, you need to be on a stricter diet. And so having those, access to the funds to buy healthier food, and also we found her a plan that all her cardio PT was covered at 100%. So that was just such a great feeling to really help someone that was in need find something that was more suited to their particular situation.
And something that's really important to know too is chronic special needs plan enrollments. You have the ability to go into one throughout the year. So we have the ability to make that type of change during the year where it's not just specific to the annual election period or even this open enrollment window. So if you want to consider one of these types of plans, just let us know and we can do a quick review and might be able to assist you in that area.
Yeah. Great. I mean, you do have to get verification from your doctor and all those kind of things, but it could be, someone has a heart attack, right away we can help them get on a better plan. Diagnosis, like you said, diabetes are one of those that need a little extra help. So definitely good information on that, and was just a really sweet story to really get to help somebody who needed it. All right. Well, that brings us into our inspiration for the day. And since it was January, I thought it would be appropriate to do some health resolution type stuff. And so what I did was I found a statistic on sleep and how that relates to weight loss, and found that those who sleep more than 7 hours a night have a 33% chance of weight loss success. So lack of sleep disrupts the hormones like leptin and ghrelin. I don't know how to say that, but those regulate the appetite and leading to increased hunger. So who knew your lack of sleep makes you hungrier?
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah. All right. So now on to news and updates. Jamie, go ahead and give us some news and updates. What are you seeing?
Well, we've already mentioned, just remember the open enrollment period is there for certain specific things. So just give us a call if you feel like you need to make a change, and we'll see if it's something that fits within that we can do. Just also know that we're seeing some network negotiation things going on with different companies. And so if you're with Humana, particularly, is going through a pretty big negotiation with Scott and White. So we've seen some pretty significant network changes. They haven't come to an agreement yet. So again, if that's something that you're stressed about, just let us know and we can assist.
Absolutely. Great. Well, again, we appreciate you guys joining us, and be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are watching/listening to this podcast. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next time. The topic will be, is the plan in for you?
Right.
Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you next time.